You can be sitting in a room full of people who love you and feel absolutely, completely alone because your brain is screaming at you about a danger that isn't even there. No one else can hear it. No one else can see it. But to you, it is the loudest thing in the world. That's not weakness. That's not drama. That is your nervous system doing something very specific, and once you understand what's actually happening inside you, it stops feeling like a character flaw and starts feeling like something you can actually work with. Hey, welcome. Whether you're watching this because you're trying to understand what's been happening to you, or you're trying to understand someone you love, you're in exactly the right place. Here's what I want you to know before we start. Most of what you've been told about anxiety or what you've assumed is probably incomplete. And that gap between what's actually happening and what people think is happening, that's where a lot of the shame and confusion lives. I know that gap. This topic isn't abstract to me, and that's part of why I wanted to make this video. Let's go there. What is anxiety and when does it become a disorder? Here's the first thing you need to understand: anxiety itself is not the problem. Anxiety is your brain's built-in alarm system. And it's actually brilliant. It's kept humans alive for thousands of years. Before a big presentation, before a difficult conversation, before something genuinely risky, a little anxiety sharpens your focus. It gets you ready. That's it doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But here's what happens with an anxiety disorder. Not when the threat is gone. Not when you're safe. Not when everyone around you is telling you everything is fine. The alarm just keeps going. And your body keeps responding to it like the danger is real, because as far as your nervous system is concerned, it is. That's what makes it a disorder. Not the anxiety itself. The part where it hijacks your life. Think about it this way: imagine your smoke detector going off every time you made toast. You'd still need the smoke detector. But something would clearly need to be recalibrated. Types and what they actually feel like. Now, anxiety disorders come in different forms. And they matter because they don't all look the same. What one person experiences can be completely different from the person sitting right next to them. So let's walk through them. And as we go, see if any of these sound familiar. 1. Generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. Imagine your brain has 47 browser tabs open. All the time. And you can't close any of them. Work. Money. Health. Your kids. That email you sent last Tuesday. Whether you left the stove on 3 weeks ago. Whether someone is mad at you and just hasn't said it yet. GAD is constant, low-grade, exhausting worry about basically everything. And the cruel part? Often nothing specific has gone wrong. The worry doesn't need a reason. It generates its own. People with GAD often get told they're overthinkers or they just need to relax. As if they hadn't already tried that. 2. Panic disorder. You're in a grocery store. Completely ordinary Tuesday. And then out of nowhere your heart is pounding like it's trying to escape your chest. You can't breathe. Your hands go numb. You are 100% convinced you are dying. And then, 10 minutes later, it stops. And the doctors say your heart is fine. That's a panic attack. And panic disorder is what happens when the fear of having another one starts running your life. It's not the panic attack that's the prison. It's the waiting for the next one. People rearrange their entire lives avoiding situations, places, even feelings just to try to prevent something they can't always predict. I want to stop here for a second. Because if you're watching this and thinking I've been there, I need you to hear this. Your mind isn't broken. It's stuck. And stuck things can be unstuck. Okay. Let's keep going. 3. Social anxiety disorder. This one gets misunderstood the most. People hear social anxiety and think shy, introverted, just not a people person. But social anxiety disorder isn't about preference. It's about terror. It's walking into a room and immediately scanning for every exit. It's replaying a conversation from 3 days ago and cringing so hard you physically wince. It's canceling plans you genuinely wanted to attend because the anxiety of being perceived, judged, rejected, embarrassed feels absolutely unbearable. And here's the piece most people don't know: it's not always about being around strangers. Some people with social anxiety are totally fine at parties but fall apart doing something as simple as making a phone call or eating in front of someone they don't know. 4. Specific phobias. Here's one that people tend to either totally relate to or completely dismiss: specific phobias. A specific phobia is an intense, irrational, overwhelming fear of one particular thing. Heights, needles, flying, dogs, vomiting, buttons. Yes, buttons. It doesn't have to make logical sense for it to be completely debilitating. And I mean that word literally. People have passed out, quit jobs, avoided entire cities, built their whole lives around not encountering one specific thing. The defining feature is this: the person knows, on a rational level, that the fear is outsized. They know the elevator probably isn't going to fall. They know the needle is necessary. And they still cannot make themselves do it. Because anxiety doesn't respond to logic. It responds to the body. And the body has decided this is not safe. 5. Agoraphobia. Most people think agoraphobia means fear of open spaces. That's not quite it. Agoraphobia is the fear of being in a situation where if panic hit you couldn't escape. Or couldn't get help. So it might be crowds, public transport, being far from home, or sometimes just being outside at all. In its most severe form, people stop leaving their homes entirely. Not because they want to. Because the outside world has started to feel genuinely dangerous. And the home, even if it's lonely, even if it's isolating, feels like the only place the alarm quiets down. And I think what's important to say here is this: the people living this aren't failing. They found the one thing that made the pain smaller. That's not a character flaw, that's a very human response to something overwhelming. You know what's fascinating and what most people never get told? All of these disorders, as different as they look on the surface, are running on the same engine underneath. The same alarm system. The same pattern of the brain treating something non-threatening as if it's life or death. That means they share something else too: they respond to similar treatment. Which means that if you're somewhere in this list, there's a real road out. 6. Separation anxiety disorder. Most people assume this is just a kid thing, the toddler crying at daycare drop-off. Adults get it too. And when they do, it tends to be invisible and deeply misunderstood. It's an overwhelming fear of being separated from specific people: a partner, a parent, a close friend. Not the normal "I miss you" feeling. An actual belief, at a gut level, that something terrible will happen when they're gone. That they won't come back. That you won't be okay without them. People with separation anxiety often get labeled as clingy or codependent. As too much. as someone who needs to learn to be more independent. And they carry that label on top of everything else they're already carrying. Okay. I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually think about it before you answer. Not has anxiety ever been hard for you? Not do you relate to this? I want to ask something more specific. What's the one thing you've never told anyone because you were afraid they'd think you were overreacting? It could be one word. It could be one sentence. It doesn't have to be a full story. Because here's the thing about anxiety disorders, one of the cruelest parts is that they make you doubt yourself. They make you think, maybe I'm just being dramatic. Maybe I should be able to handle this. Maybe I'm too much. So that thing you've been keeping quiet? Leave it in the comments. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. Just say it. Because sometimes the most powerful thing is just letting it exist somewhere outside your own head. Before you go, I want to say something, and I want you to really hear it, not just let it wash over you. The fact that you watched this whole video? That matters. A lot of people who are struggling don't seek it out. They just white-knuckle through the day and hope tomorrow is somehow different. You didn't do that. You chose to understand what's actually happening. And that is not a small thing. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health condition in the world. And yet most people who have one still feel like they're the only one. Like everyone else got the manual for being okay, and somehow they missed it. You didn't miss anything. This is just genuinely hard. And it has a name. Anxiety disorders are among the most treatable mental health conditions that exist. Therapy, specifically types like CBT and exposure therapy, has changed millions of lives. Medication helps a lot of people. Lifestyle shifts matter more than most people realize. And sometimes, just having the language for what you're experiencing, just knowing it has a name and a reason, is enough to take some of the weight off. Your anxiety is real. The fear is real. And so is the possibility of a life where it doesn't call the shots. You're allowed to want that. And you're allowed to go get it. You are not your anxiety. You are the person who is still here, still trying, and that counts for everything. If this helped you even just to feel a little less alone, the like button is right there. It's a small thing that genuinely helps someone else who's searching for this find it. And if you want to keep going with this, I have more coming on what treatment actually looks like, on how therapy works in real life, on how to be there for someone you love who's going through this. I'd love for you to stick around for those. Take care of yourself.